Coming up on Quad Cities today at 11, the funeral for Tyree Nichols is scheduled for today as we are learning new details from the initial police report. Plus, a closer look at a bill introduced in the Iowa legislature that surrounds money awarded in medical malpractice lawsuits.
And we warm up today close to freezing as we move on the backside of this high pressure system, but another major Arctic blast is in store for us later this week. We will talk about that coming up in your full forecast. Quad Cities today at 11 starts right now.
Live from the Kwqc studio, this is Quad Cities Today at 11.
Topping your news at 11, the funeral for Tyree Nichols will be held in Memphis today, and as fallout over the deadly police beating keeps growing. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kiel in for Morgan OTA. As Ryan Young reports, there are new details available from the initial police report that paint a vastly different picture from what we saw in the video.
Tyree Nichols to be laid to rest later this morning. His funeral will be held at the Mississippi Boulevard Christian Church in Memphis. Last night, Nichols' family was joined by national clergy and Reverend Al Sharpton at the Mason Temple. The same site Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. gave his last speech, "I've been to the mountaintop," the day before his assassination in April 1968.
The need for justice has brought us here again.
Sharpton, who is scheduled to give the eulogy at Nichols' funeral, called for police reform.
We are going to continue to fight this fight around police brutality and killing until we get federal laws changed. What happened to Tyree is a disgrace to this country. We're all Tyree now.
That's right.
And we're all going to stand up with this family.
That's right.
This, as we are learning more videos are set to be released from the investigation into Nichols' death. And we are seeing for the first time a picture of the initial police report filed just hours after the traffic stop that says Nichols was pulled over for reckless driving. The report contradicts police video released last week. It states Nichols started to fight with officers and says he was grabbing for Detective Martin's gun, further stating he began actively resisting and pulling the duty belts and grabbing Officer Smith by his vest. The report lists one of the officers as a victim. The report does not mention the officers punching and kicking Nichols. Officers are seen discussing this at the scene.
We got him out the car. We was like, "Hey, bro, you good?" Swung. Wow, almost hit me. You reached for Martin's gun.
Additionally, personnel files obtained by CNN show that several of the Memphis cops charged in connection to Tyree Nichols' death have histories of minor department violations, including Emmett Martin, who joined the Memphis Police Department in 2018 and had 2 separate suspensions. Nichols' family wants these officers held accountable.
Keep fighting for justice for our son and my family.
I've been fighting my whole life. And the one fight that I need to be at, I wasn't here. You know, and at the end of the day, I'm never going to forgive my brother.
All right, well, we'll continue to follow that story throughout the day, but now it's time for a check of the first alert forecast, and normally it would be me talking about the weather, but since I'm filling in on the anchor desk, we decided to bring in another Kyle to give the forecast. I'd like to introduce you all to meteorologist Kyle Dickens, and it's Kyle with a C, so that's how you'll be able to differentiate it between us here. He's the newest member of the First Alert weather team, started this last weekend, so if you watched, you saw him talking about that wintry weather. Kyle is new here to TV6, but not a stranger to the area. Kyle, tell us a little more about yourself.
Yeah, so like you said, no stranger to the Quad Cities, from Princeton, Illinois. So it was a nice homecoming. Came from Florida, which, you know, nice warm weather.
Welcome
nice
back.
warm Florida. And the week I get back, it's, you know, Arctic air and snow. So, but again, from the area, so used to it. So, but no, super excited to be here at TV6 and work alongside. You got 2 Kyles here, so how about that?
Absolutely. And hey, at least today we have some pretty good weather here, but things are very sloppy to our south.
High pressure system in place for us, but down to the south, look at this mess down in Texas right now. It's ice storm warnings posted all throughout northern Texas, Dallas area. They can have that. We'll take the take that Arctic air. 26 degrees. It is warming up though. We're going to come close to 32 degrees, close to freezing today. It feels like though 15, but sunshine out there, no doubt about it. Across the area, 22 Princeton, 26 Moline, 23 here in Davenport. Cooler to the north at 16. We factor in that wind chill. It is still single digits up north, but Here's the deal, okay? Come later on this week, we're gonna have a nice warm up here today, tomorrow, but look at this. This is feel like temperature come Friday, so the Arctic air returns. But again, hey, we got some sunshine and some warm weather for at least a couple days, but long term, it does look like we're gonna warm up. We'll talk about that in your full forecast coming up.
There's a new project being taken on by the Comanche School District as they are focusing on AED and CPR training. The Comanche District is now the second school in Iowa to adopt Project Adam. TV6's Danny Whiskeyman spoke with the district about how they plan on leading the way in AED and CPR training in the state.
What would you give advice to other districts that they're looking at doing this? Why should they do this?
My question to them would, why wouldn't they do it?
A question the Comanche School District has already answered. It's now one of 2 districts in Iowa to join in on Project Adam, a project designed to save a life if someone goes into cardiac arrest.
So our superintendent was made aware of the project by a local businessman who had let some of the schools in the area know. And it's in with conjunction with the University of Iowa hospitals. And so after looking into the program and researching a little bit on the website, we decided it was something that we should go forward with here in Comanche.
All of our buildings have AEDs. Some of the buildings have multiple AEDs, but they're kept here in these cabinets. Every day I come around and we just check to make sure that this light is flashing and that there's not any alarms going off. That just lets us know that our AED is ready to go just in case we need it.
TV6 got the chance to see the team in action as they walked us through the process.
Our first mission would be to start high quality CPR that gives people the best chance of survival. So we would make sure the scene is safe, the person is not responsive, and we would go ahead and start with CPR. And as soon as somebody from our team would bring the AED, we would go ahead and get that on. That team member would be putting the AED on while the person that started compressions would continue doing that.
If the patient is a child, press the child button. Press pads firmly on skin. Apply pads as shown in the pictures. Press pads firmly on skin.
All of this happens in a matter of minutes before professional medical services arrive on scene, but those few minutes are a matter of life and death.
For everybody who falls for a cardiac incident, every minute they say is about 10% of viability gone. So if we don't get CPR started until our EMTs or our paramedics get here, let's say that's 3 to 5 minutes. In our wonderful town, it's a faster response time. You're losing 30 to 50% of a person's chance of surviving.
That was TV6's Danny Whiskeyman reporting. Senior students are required to participate in Project Adam training and learn in the classroom what to do in case of an emergency. If you'd like to learn more about Project Adam, you can visit the website at the bottom of your screen. Well, a bill in Iowa that impacts how schools handle a student's gender identity is on its way to the House floor. House File 9 passed through a subcommittee and the House Education Committee last night. House File 9 stops schools from taking action to affirm a student's gender identity without the written content of their parents. Last April, Linn-Mar Community School District northwest of the Quad Cities passed a policy that created a gender support plan for students without involving parents in the district. Parents in support of the bill say it should be up to them.
The Bible is the only history my family needs when discussing God's creation. The opposition will try to portray us as being anti-LGBTQ, but that simply is not true. I just want to be able to discuss these matters at home with my children and the way that I see fit, as it is my God-given right to do.
But Barry Stevens, a student who spoke against the bill, said it would prevent what has made a big difference when they were bullied.
One thing that helped me was when my teacher and principal were supportive listeners and took action against these kids. That would be impossible if this bill was passed.
The bill passed the subcommittee by a 2-to-1 vote when then it was quickly passed along party lines in the Education Committee. Well, another bill introduced in the Iowa legislature would limit the amount of money that could be awarded in medical malpractice lawsuits. The bill would limit the amount of non-economic damages to $1 million. Attorneys oppose the bill, saying the cap will make the cases unaffordable for lawmakers to take. Healthcare providers, however, say a cap is necessary as settlements continue to climb. They also say the threat of a huge malpractice suit are driving many new doctors to states surrounding Iowa that already have caps. In your national headlines, Alec Baldwin has been formally charged in the Rust shooting. Yesterday, New Mexico prosecutors charged Alec Baldwin with involuntary manslaughter. According to the state attorney, there is probable cause that Baldwin committed involuntary manslaughter in an unlawful act with his negligent use of a deadly weapon. Baldwin will make his first court appearance within the next 15 days. The Food and Drug Administration announced it's creating a new unit devoted to food safety. The newly dubbed Human Foods Program will hold wide-ranging authority as an FDA outreach power. This comes out of a report that put the FDA in the line of fire of critics who said the federal agency needed stronger leadership. The Human Foods Program will make food safety and nationwide better nutrition its top priorities to start. And the COVID-19 national and public health emergencies will officially expire in the United States on May 11th. The question skeptics are now asking is why wait until May? The White House is responding to that, saying by ending the emergency declaration immediately, it would create the wide-ranging chaos and uncertainty throughout the healthcare system. One of the effects this will have will be on the free COVID tests and being able to get one.
The uninsured and those with insufficient insurance will be the hardest hit, as has always been the case in our healthcare system. They stand to lose the most. They do not have a guaranteed access to these things.
The Biden administration told governors when he took office he'd give them at least a 60-day notice before terminating the public health emergency. ExxonMobil posted a $56 billion profit for 2022, setting not only a company record, but a historic high for the Western oil industry. The results far exceeding the then record $45.2 billion net profit Exxon reported in 2008. Coming up on Quad Cities today at 11, as we enter the month of February, Valentine's Day is right around the corner. We're sitting down with KSI to talk about senior companionship and dating next in your KSI Close-Up.